boys and girls. Today I'm dressed as a famous artist. I'm not Mrs. Murphy. Usually I'm dressed like myself. But today I want you to use your imaginations and pretend that I'm not Mrs. Murphy, I'm Vincent Van Gogh, a famous artist. Now, why did I do this? I wanted you to have a chance to feel like you got to meet someone famous. I've met a couple people in my life that are famous, and it's been kind of neat. It makes me feel like I know them a little bit better than someone else that knows them. So that's why I did this. Now, you might notice how I'm dressed. Mrs. Murphy doesn't have short red hair. So what I do is I have a wig on. Okay? I don't have a red beard. I have a special kind of beard that you can glue on and add to your face. Okay? I'm wearing a hat because Vincent Van Gogh, the sun bothered his eyes, and he didn't wear it. He liked to wear a hat a lot of the time. Okay? He was kind of a messy artist, so I have a lot of paint on my jacket. He smoked a pipe, and sometimes he had paintbrushes sticking all over. He looked like a porcupine. Okay? He was from Holland, so he wore wooden shoes like the ones Mrs. Murphy's wearing. Okay? That's why I'm dressed like this. Now, it's going to take some pretending, some imagination. When I say something like, I did this, or I died, you're going to say, how could she die if he's standing here talking to us? But you know, how would you explain that?
Nice room.
Because Mrs. Murphy is really talking, not Vincent Van Gogh. So Mrs. Murphy didn't die, right? Okay. Now, this is a picture that was painted of his room. We know what his room looks like because he did a painting of it. And you can see that some of the things in this room are exactly like in the painting. Okay? The bed, the chairs. Notice how he has 2 brushes and 2 chairs. He was expecting a friend to come live with him in this place. And we'll talk to you more about that. Okay? When I'm talking, I really want you to listen. Don't make interruptions. If you want to ask me questions, ask me at the end. I'll answer anything you want. I need people on their bottoms, sitting down, ready to listen. Okay? When I turn around, I'm not Mrs. Murphy anymore. I'm who?
Vincent Van Gogh.
Vincent Van Gogh. Are you ready to pretend?
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, boys and girls. My name is Vincent Van Gogh, and I'm a Dutch artist that lived about 100 years ago. When I was living, people didn't like my artwork. In fact, I only sold 1 picture my whole life, and that was to my brother. So I didn't really even count that was a painting that I sold. People didn't like my work, or they didn't like me very much. They thought I was a little bit weird and a little bit strange. And I want you to think about, when I'm talking about my life today, how you could be nice to people, because everyone in your class, every person in the school is special in some way. And if you're mean to them and you don't give them a chance, you're missing out on that special thing that they could teach you. So I want you to always give people a chance. Okay? I'm going to start by reading you a book. It's called Camille and the Sunflowers. It's a story about me, Vincent Van Gogh, and my life. You can see my pictures on the cover, and a little boy that I knew named Camille. Okay? And then you'll find out a lot more about what happened to me when I was living. Where Camille lived, the sunflowers grew so high they looked like real suns, a whole field of burning yellow suns. Every day after school, Camille ran through the sunflowers to meet his father, who was a postman. Together they would lift down the heavy sacks of mail. One day, a strange man arrived in Camille's town. He had a straw hat, a yellow beard, and quick brown eyes. I am Vincent, the painter, he said, smiling at Camille. Vincent came to live in the yellow house at the end of Camille's street. He had no money and no friends. You might notice I'm wearing my wooden shoes and I carry my art supplies on my back. Let's try to help him, said Camille's father. So they loaded a cart with pots and pans and furniture for the yellow house. Camille picked a huge bunch of sunflowers for the painter and put them in a big brown pot. Vincent was very pleased to have 2 good friends. Vincent asked Camille's father if he would like to have his picture painted in his best blue uniform. You must sit very still, said Vincent. Camille loved the bright colors Vincent used and the strong smell of paint. As Camille watched, his father's face appeared like magic on the canvas. The picture was strange, but very beautiful. he would like to paint the whole family. Camille's mother, his big brother, his baby sister, and at last Camille himself. Camille was very excited. He had never even had his picture taken with a camera. The camera had just been invented about 150 years ago. Camille took his painting to school. He wanted everyone to see it. But the other children didn't like his picture. They all began to laugh. This made Camille feel very sad. After school, some of the older children started teasing Vincent. They ran along behind him as he went out to paint. Even the grown-ups joined in and said, "It's time to get a real job instead of playing with paints all day." Camille sat for hours watching Vincent work. It was very hot, but Vincent worked fast. He painted sunflower fields and even the sun itself. "He's the sunflower man," said Camille to himself. But no matter how hard Vincent worked, he could never sell any of his paintings. "If I had a lot of money," said Camille, "I'd buy them all." "Thank you, my friend," laughed Vincent. One afternoon, as Camille and Vincent were coming back from the field, some of the children from Camille's school were waiting. They shouted at Vincent and threw stones at him. Camille wanted them to stop, but what could he do? He was only a small boy. At last he ran home in tears. "Listen, Camille," said his father, "people often laugh at things that are different, but I have a feeling that one day they will learn to love Vincent's paintings." That night, Camille had a strange dream. He saw Vincent standing in the moonlight, high above the town. Vincent had stuck candles onto his hat so that he could see. The sunflower man was painting the stars. I painted that painting right up there, The Starry Night. That's the one that you see on this book. And a lot of times when I painted at night, I used my hat that had candles on it so that I could see, and they didn't have flashlights. And that's so I could paint later at night.
Is that a bell on it?
It has a bell to hold the candles on.
One I painted.
Yeah. Early the next morning, Camille was awakened by a loud knocking at the door. Some men from the town had come to see his father. "Listen, postman," they said, "we want you to give this letter to your friend. It says he must pack up his paint and leave our town." Camille slipped out through the back door. He ran down the street to the yellow house. Excuse me. It seemed very quiet inside. Then Camille saw the sunflowers he had picked for Vincent. They had all dried up and died. Camille felt sadder than ever. Vincent was upstairs packing his bags. He looked very tired, but smiled at Camille. "Don't be sad," he said. "It's time for me to paint somewhere else now. Perhaps they will like my paintings there. But first I have something to show you. Do you notice how my room here is the same as this room back here? That's a room that I had in my yellow house." Vincent lifted down the big picture. There were Camille's sunflowers, bigger and brighter than ever. Camille looked at the painting, and then he smiled too. "Goodbye, sunflower man," he said, as he ran out of the house into the sunshine. Camille's father was right. People did learn to love Vincent's paintings. Today you would have to have a lot of money if you wanted to buy one. But now people all over the world can go to museums and galleries just to look at pictures of the yellow house, of Camille and his family, and pictures of the sunflowers, so bright and yellow that they look like real suns. Okay? That book tells you a lot about my life and how people treated me, but it doesn't really go into how when I was born or when I died. So I'm going to share a little bit more with you and show you some more pictures. I really like how people are being good listeners. I'm going to talk just a little bit more. Okay? You might notice in these pictures of me that I painted myself quite a bit. I did over 22 pictures of myself. It wasn't because I thought I was this handsome man. It's because I had myself to look at. I did all these pictures of myself because I was there to look at. I didn't have a lot of friends, and people wouldn't sit for me for hours and hours without getting paid. So you can see that in my pictures too, I'm not very, very happy. I didn't smile very much. There's a couple reasons for that. I was very sad and lonely, and also I had really bad teeth. The dentists didn't know as much as they know now about teeth, and I had to have 10 teeth pulled. So you can see I didn't smile. People didn't smile a lot in pictures. Okay? You can see that my feelings come out in my paintings a lot. I was born on March 30th, 1853 in Groot-Zundert, Holland. Okay, Holland is a country that is in Europe, and it's on the map that's right over there. You can see it when we get done with our class. Holland is no longer a country. It's now called the Netherlands. My father's name was Theodorus Van Gogh, and my mother's name was named Anna Cornelia. This is a picture I painted of her when she was older. She wasn't just that much older than my father. I was the oldest out of 6 children. I had 3 sisters and 2 brothers. And something interesting with my family that happened too. Exactly 1 year before me, just wait till the end please, March 30th, 1852, I had another brother that was born. But unfortunately he was born dead. But my parents named him Vincent also. So I was the second Vincent in my family. And even though we never got to meet our brother Vincent, we missed him quite a bit. I was a normal kid growing up. I was kind of like to be alone. Sometimes I had a bad temper too. This is a picture of me when I was 6 years old. People said I looked a lot older than I really was. Okay. When I was little, we had a governess. A governess is someone who comes and lives with you, kind of like Mary Poppins, where they live with you and they're your teacher and they take care of you. And then when I was 12 years old, I had to go away to a boarding school. Could you sit on your body, please? Thank you. A boarding school is where you go and you sleep there, you eat there, you stay there. The only time you get to come home is at Christmas time. I really miss my family a lot, and I really wished I could have seen them more. So after age 15, I was tired of going to school. This is a picture of me at age 18. Well, after school, it was time for me to get a job. My first job was an art dealer. I sold art pictures. And my father's brother, Vincent, who was my uncle Vincent, gave me a job. And I did okay at this job. I even went to England, and I sold pictures there. Well, I rented a house from a woman, and I soon fell in love with her daughter, whose name was Eugenie. And I asked her to marry me. And she said, no, she didn't love me back. And my heart was broken. I felt so sad that I had asked someone to marry me, and they said no. 2 other people in my life also said no when I asked them to marry me. So I didn't have very much luck with girls. I was so sad, Jeremy, sit right here, that I came back to Holland, and I decided that I would be in my hometown. Now, I didn't do so very well at my job. I was starting to get kind of bad at it, in fact. People would come in to buy a picture, and I couldn't help but tell them what I thought. If I thought the picture was crummy, I said, oh, you don't want to buy that picture, it's crummy. And my boss didn't like that, so I ended up getting fired. I tried some other jobs too. I was a teacher. I was a bookstore clerk for a little bit of time. I was a pastor like my father, and the job that I had as a pastor was in a mining town. I like the way some people are really good listeners. It was a mining town, and back then, there wasn't any laws that say that kids couldn't work. So kids even younger than you would have to work in the mines, a big cave, and they'd pick up big blocks of coal, big black rocks. And they would have to work all day, sometimes into the night. And sometimes they would get bad diseases in their lungs that would make them cough. And other times the mine would collapse and they would get hurt. And it was a very, very sad place to be. And so I didn't do very good at that job either. Finally, at age 27, I was pretty old, 27, I changed my mind and I decided to become an artist. And my only person that would really help me out was my brother Theo. He was my favorite brother. And he said that he would send me $15 a month to live on. And that $15 a month was going to pay for my food and paints and where I was living. He had married a woman named Joanna, and they had had a baby son they named Vincent. So that's what I lived on, the money that my brother sent me. My first paintings were very, very dark. A lot of times people didn't use bright colors. The colors they used were browns and blacks and very, very light, dark yellows. I did this first painting called The Potato Eaters. Poor people, a lot of times that's all they had to eat were potatoes. Okay? Sometimes I did a lot of pictures of peasants. And then I went to Paris, France, and I met a group of people called the Impressionists. And the Impressionists were doing some neat things with color and light, and they were using bright colors. So I said, I think I'm going to use bright colors too. So I started changing my pictures. This is a picture I did of a bar, and you can see that it has a bright yellow floor. Yellow was my favorite color. You'll see lots of yellow in my paintings. you can see that people don't look very happy in this picture. And the way that I put the light coming out, it's almost like there's a glow from the light. Well, I painted all kinds of pictures. Sometimes I painted the people I met. You might remember Camille's brother and his mother. I painted lots of pictures of people that I met. Some people that would sit for me. Most of the time, who did I paint? Who did I paint most of the time?
Vincent Van Gogh.
Myself, Vincent Van Gogh, right? Because I had myself to look at. Okay? I painted landscapes, pictures of land. Okay? Notice how you can see lots of my brush strokes moving all around, going different directions. Lots of yellow, my favorite color. You can see that my paintings were lots and lots. I never sold any of my pictures. I did over 2,000 paintings in 10 years. That's more than any other artist has ever done. That's almost a painting a day, every day, for 10 years. That's a lot of paintings. Okay? These are lots of paintings. You might remember this picture from the book where I painted some sunflower fields. These are Camille's sunflowers. You might remember that I painted those for him. Just a minute, I'll ask. You can answer the questions in a second. Well, I did something that kind of changed some things. Remember the people were mean to me in Camille's town? They threw rocks at me? Well, I'll tell you why that happened. I had rented this house, and I had a friend named Gauguin come live with me, and we argued a lot. And so finally, after about 3 months, we got in a big argument. And he said, I'm not going to live with you anymore, I'm leaving. And he left. And I got so mad at myself. Have you ever gotten really mad and you threw something down like a toy and it broke? Or you punched something and you hurt your hand?
My mom.
When you get really mad like that, just wait a minute. You get really mad, sometimes you don't think. And that's what I did. I got so mad that I took a knife and I sliced off the bottom part of my ear, which was kind of a crazy thing to do. But I was so mad I wasn't thinking. And you can see in this picture here, I have a bandage on my ear because I had done that to my ear. Now, the people in the town got kind of scared that maybe I was going to hurt them. So that's why they asked me to leave. And it ended up that I went to a hospital. And I stayed in the hospital for a year because I wasn't feeling very good. Sometimes I wouldn't eat because I'd spend all my money on paint. Other times I'd be so tired because I'd been painting day after day after day that I wouldn't really, I was too tired to even sleep sometimes. Other times I wasn't eating very good. Sometimes I didn't eat but bread or cheese. Sometimes I got paint under my nails and I ate the paint on accident. And the paint had poison in it then. It was called lead, and it was really bad for you. I was also very sad and depressed. I never had friends or girlfriends. So I stayed in the hospital, and this is a picture of my doctor. I did 2 pictures of him. Okay, you can see the first one has books, and it has flowers in a glass, and this time the flowers are just being held. I stayed there for a year, but unfortunately I still didn't get any better. I was still very sad. The last picture that I ever painted was this painting right here, just a second. And this is the last painting that I did. Okay, it was crows over a cornfield. The crows were really bothering me, and you can see that I used lots of paint, lots of yellow. I was only 37 years old when I died, and I took my own life in this cornfield. I wish I would have waited, because 30 years after I died, my pictures of the sunflowers, remember these pictures? This painting sold for $40 million. This painting here sold for $49 million, which is lots and lots of money. My brother Theo was so sad after I died. Remember his picture over here? He was so sad after I died that he died 6 months later of a broken heart. He was so sad and he missed me so much. And his wife Joanna and their son made it possible that my work became so famous. Now people love my pictures. People were used to seeing dark pictures like these ones here. Which ones do you like? The dark pictures or the real bright pictures?
I like the bright.
Okay, raise your hand if you like the darker ones.
Dark.
If you like the bright ones. Well, people thought these bright ones were too bright. Okay, hands down for just a minute. What I want you to remember, boys and girls, is that people really weren't very nice to me, and they didn't really give me a chance. All I ever wanted were people to like my artwork. But what people people not to like my artwork, but people didn't. And I want you to make sure that you give everybody a chance and learn what's special about them, because we're all special in some way. And if we're mean to people, we don't get to find out what's special. I'm going to have you do two things. Okay? First thing we're going to do, just a second, just 1 second, please. Okay? Is Mrs. Murphy painted a piece of cardboard to make a portrait like Vincent Van Gogh. Okay? What you're going to get to do is you're going to get to take and put your face inside of it, like this. And I'm going to take your picture. Okay? If you don't want to be Vincent Van Gogh, I might even take your picture inside the room. So that's one thing we're going to do. The other thing is you're going to get a piece of paper, and you're going to get a chance to draw. Now, I have lots and lots of
Colors.
lots and lots of pictures. I have a whole box back there that has pictures of Vincent Van Gogh that or pieces of things that he drew. You're going to get a piece of paper, and you're going to be able to draw. You might start with a picture of Vincent Van Gogh. You might draw his room. You might draw the sunflowers. Whatever you want. Okay, this is how we might draw Vincent Van Gogh. Start with the oval face, add a neck that's the same size as the head, shoulders that go down. Mrs. Murphy's drawn upside down. Yours is going to be much better. A nose in the center of the face, lips, an M and a U, maybe a beard, add some ears, eyes, some more beard, or more hair. And I usually wear a hat because the sun bothers my eyes. So kind of like a big oval with a smaller oval. You might want to even add candles on the top of it so that I can paint at night. Okay? You might decide to put some big sunflowers behind here with big circles, and then add some zigzag lines around it. There are crayons, there's pastels, lots of different things for you to color with. You might add some stems going down. Okay? You might decide to do a vase with flowers in it. Draw the vase, add a line for the table, and then add some big sunflowers coming up this way. Okay? With the leaves and the stem. Whatever you want to draw, it can be anything. There's pictures here you can look at. You had a question. Does anybody want to ask some questions to Vincent Van Gogh? Yes?
Did you really do that?
Actually, a friend of mine painted this, and I borrowed it. Okay? Yeah. You had a question?
My mom was really wonderful. But my dad bought her a lot of money on her favorite pair of ankles. They were all brown. I mean, green. She tore them from the carpet. And after she did that, she got really angry at herself.
Yeah, because it's like, show her her favorite pair, I bet you. Sometimes we do things when we're angry. That might maybe something you think about too. Not to do something that hurts you. Yeah.
Are you really Vincent Van Gogh?
You know who I really am. Who am I? Mrs. Murphy. It's just a pretend. Yeah.
How did you get it on?
It's a beard that you glue. I have glued it on.
It could come off easily.
Great. Nice pin. Yeah.
I was very sad that I had to get away this one toy. It was a Vincent Van Gogh. You put you baggy in it and you put this wrist on it. It fits right before you sing it.
Right. So you were sad that you had to give it away?
Yeah.
And what happened?
It fits that book somehow.
Oh, sometimes things get broken. Yeah.
Are you playing dress up with Vincent Van Gogh?
Yeah. Sometimes grown-ups like to play dress up too. Yes. Okay, boys and girls, you're going to get a chance to start drawing. Mrs. Murphy's going to stop talking. I'm going to give you a piece of paper. You may draw anything you want. It could be Vincent Van Gogh. It could be something he drew. Do you want to see Mrs. Murphy's favorite picture?
Yeah.
My favorite picture is this picture right here of Camille's brother. If you came to my house, you would see this picture in a frame in my house. I liked it so much that I went and bought a copy of it. I just like the way the man looks. Okay? So that's a picture that I know. It was nice that Camille and his family really were helpful to Vincent Van Gogh, right? They were one of his only friends. Okay, I'll give you a piece of paper and you can go to your seats. And, oh, I want to teach you a song. then I'll give you the paper. This is something so that you'll remember Vincent Van Gogh. Everybody, 1, 2, 3, on your bodies. Oh, great. Okay, goes like this. You repeat after me. It's kind of like 3 blind mice. It goes like this. See the Van Gogh.
See the Van Gogh.
With lots of yellow.
With lots of yellow.
He painted people and flowers and trees.
He painted people and flowers and trees.
Oh, you're good. I like to look at paintings like these.
I like to look at paintings like these.
By Vincent Van Gogh.
By Vincent Van Gogh.
Good, let's sing it a little bit louder this time, and everybody sings, okay? Ready? See the Van Gogh.
See the Van Gogh.
With lots of yellow.
With lots of yellow.
Go scream, sing. He painted people and flowers and trees.
He painted people and flowers and trees.
I like to look at paintings like these.
I like to look at paintings like these.
By Vincent Van Gogh.
By Vincent Van Gogh.
What was his favorite color?
Yellow.
Right, what did he paint pictures of?
Sunflowers.
Flowers, people, trees. Remember, he painted people and flowers and trees. Okay, those are some things to remember.